Okay, scenario 3, the one we called active conservation. Now this one, the key features here is that we decided we wanted to examine what we could do with respect to actually doing some things to improve conditions on some parts of the landscape. So we looked at a couple of different options. The one would be, there are some woodland areas in the Municipal Forest Reserve where these traditionally more open woodland areas are now being encroached by conifers because there's less fire activity that's going on here and other disturbances. And so those areas, if left unchecked, would become more dominated by conifers and they would look less like these open woodland areas. So that was one thing we did. And the other one was we identified some stands using the LiDAR data that were these very dense, medium-aged Douglas fir stands. And there's evidence to show that if you go in and thin some of these stands, you can actually promote the development of old stand features more quickly, such as understory reinitiation like shrubs and other things, and also just promoting the development of larger trees more quickly. Now, there are some costs of doing this, right? So these costs are high again, right? Because you're having to go into areas that are often difficult to get to. So it's increased harvesting cost per cubic meter. The other thing to note here is that the value of the wood that you take out of these things is going to be mixed, because it's not always the best trees you're taking out from a volume or timber perspective. And so, as I mentioned before, we're roughly treating about 4 hectares per year for the first 30 years here. That was the assumption we made in the scenario, and so that works out to around 1,300 cubic meters harvested per year for that first 30 years, and then after that, there's no more harvesting. So the map that you see on the right-hand side shows the pink areas are these areas that we identified that are areas that have potential for woodlands restoration. This would have to be verified, operationally, if this is something that we decided we wanted to do. And then the yellow areas are the areas that we identified as having, they have the conditions where you could thin them and have some positive impacts from the thinning. Okay, next slide.